Yesterday, the talk was that there's a real possibility that the Vikings and Adam Thielen will go their separate ways. And today, it has manifested itself as the Vikings have released 19. He'll be a free agent. I'm sure he'll draw plenty of interest. Thielen finishes third all-time in team history in receptions behind Chris Carter and Randy Moss, fourth in yards, third in touchdowns. Great career. That Thielen-Stephon Diggs tandem was something serious. In my opinion, the greatest wide receiver duo that I've seen play since Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald in Arizona. And when he gets put in the Ring of Honor, you got to show the overtime play at the Superdome in the 2019 wildcard round. First and 10 at New Orleans 45, Kirk Cousins throws a deep shot to Adam Thielen for 43 yards, and that helped set up the game-ending touchdown to Kyle Rudolph. Amazing. But Father Time is undefeated. Minnesota's turning over a new leaf. The defense is going through a whole rebuild. You have a young superstar receiver that's taken damn near all the attention, which makes the wide receiver 2 job super important. And I talked about this yesterday. It's just not something you can realistically expect from Thielen now as he goes into his age 33 season. At the same time, that doesn't take away from all the great things that he's done in this organization. And it's funny how things have come full circle. October 9th, 2016, Vikings versus Texans. Stephon Diggs was held out due to a groin injury. And the talk leading up to that game was, okay, who's going to step up as far as the receivers are concerned? Now, before that, Adam Thielen had 4 starts, 20 catches, 181 yards, 1 touchdown combined the previous 2 seasons. And in 2016, before the Texans game, 1 start in 4 games, solid contributor. The point is, yeah, he's not bad, but hadn't yet emerged into the great player that we all remember him as now. Who's going to step up in the receiver group? Okay, I remember tweeting Judd Zolgad. I think this was 2 days before the game, if I'm not mistaken. It's probably going to be Adam Thielen. Keep an eye on that guy. The results of that game, Adam Thielen against the Houston Texans, 7 catches, 127 yards, 1 touchdown, in a 31-13 Vikings win. After that, Thielen got more starts, and the rest was history. And it sucks that the team was never able to capitalize off of the talent that we had. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, a beast of a defense, but still created awesome memories regardless. I wish him nothing but the best in his next chapter. Now, Thielen getting released, that's not a surprise. We all expected it. However, I would have bet everything that this would have been a post-June 1st cut. Instead, the Vikings are going to make this a pre-June 1st cut, eating $13.5 million in dead cap this year in order to create $6.4 million in immediate savings, while also creating more cap relief next year. Minnesota is setting themselves up for a major splash in 2024 with an already projected $120 million in cap space, going the Ryan Poles route, gutting the roster except without the team sucking. Now, as for the Vikings, still right now about $9.4 million over the cap. Got to get cap compliant by next week, Wednesday to be exact. A release or trade of Zadarius Smith is all it takes. I think the next possible fan favorite departures to keep an eye out for, Dalvin Cook and CJ Ham for sure, and maybe Harrison Smith. But I got to give credit to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Absolutely hated the way he went about last year's draft, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's making the necessary big boy moves with this personnel that Spielman never would. At the end of the day, what do I need to do to help this team, regardless of how I personally feel? If it requires releasing players that are leaving behind legacies, so be it. This offseason and next offseason, for that matter, for Minnesota is going to be nuts. Stiff Richards says, Randy keeps talking drafting all these guys like, bro, you do realize we have 4 picks, right? Shaking my head. Well, we actually have 5 picks after we got the compensatory pick awarded yesterday. And it's funny, leading up to yesterday, it was projected that the Vikings would get a compensatory pick of 177. Instead, we got 211, which is, goodness, 34 picks of a difference. Basically, a whole round's worth of a difference between 177 and 211. But okay, we have 5 picks to work with right now. We can't trade down and collect more picks? I don't understand why we feel like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place, whether it's the amount of draft picks we have to work with originally or the cap space. Oh, we have no money. What can we do? You can always release players, restructure players. That's the job of the GM. Open Trunk says, drafting a receiver at 23 invites a direct comparison with the Justin Jefferson pick, and there's no upside to that and no way they'll do it. I disagree with that. I don't really think there's going to be much of a hoopla of a comparison made between a receiver taken at 23, hypothetically speaking, and Justin Jefferson. If anything, the receivers that have to worry about that are those that were taken before Jefferson in that draft class. So guys like Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Reagor. But even if there were to be any sort of comparisons made, I don't think the front office cares. They're more concerned with filling out the roster, the many gaping holes we have on this roster, with the best players that they can through free agency and the draft. Lastly, Alan Ulier says, why not trade Kirk and 23, maybe a 2025 second as well, for number 4, Colts get a proven quarterback with maybe 3 to 4 years left of good play, and we get a new quarterback on a rookie deal with number 4 and free up cap space for this season. PFF Summit, it works. PFF isn't real life though, obviously. I don't think there's any chance in hell of that happening, with all due respect, for 2 reasons. Number 1, Kirk's not going to waive his no-trade clause to go to Indianapolis. And number 2, even if he were to do that, I don't think the Colts would ever agree to that because they got burned going after a veteran quarterback the last 2 times, Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. And goodness, I forgot, they also had Phillip Rivers before those 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think they went to the playoffs. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure they did. I think the Colts are over it. They're trying to figure out their next franchise quarterback post Andrew Luck. They're going to go a rookie quarterback, number 4, maybe trade up to the number 1 pick to take who I would imagine, Bryce Young is the best quarterback, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went after CJ Stroud.